Northern Baroque art, the work of Vermeer and Rembrandt. As we've discussed the work of the Baroque artists, we've noted their love of drama. We've noted their love of theatricality and intense use of light and dark. So what we've looked at are the very intense works such as this one by Rubens, The Rape of the Daughters of Leucippus. We see the drama, we see the dynamic composition that's designed on the diagonal, the love of extreme light and dark, and we get these very beautiful psychological portraits. We've seen the work of Caravaggio and the really extreme emphasis on light and dark, and also these really intense psychological portraits like we can see in this painting depicting Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son. What we see from the Northern European Baroque artists, however, is a more subdued approach, a more intimate approach to art. It's still very much a Baroque style, but instead of the very intense and rather violent scenes we see in some of the other Baroque artists, we get very intimate portraits such as this. This is one of the most famous paintings by the artist Vermeer. And what you'll notice is that there's still a very beautiful contrast between the light and the dark. And in fact, it's really the use of light and portrayal of light that makes this painting so beautiful. The way her pearl earring captures the light, the way her face is captured in both light and in shadow. So he's very much capturing the Baroque aesthetic of contrast, but he's doing it in a different way, in a more intimate way. Here's another painting by Vermeer. And these are very domestic scenes, if you'll notice. For the Northern European artists, their market, their consumers, were not necessarily the wealthy patrons such as the church or wealthy families such as the Medici were during the Renaissance. Instead, there's a growing middle class in Northern Europe, and they can now afford art. And these are the consumers for many of the painters. So commissions such as this one of a domestic scene or somebody's daughter are very common. Again, Vermeer's exemplifying the Baroque love of contrast. And again, we see a very beautiful, soft, almost natural light falling on the diagonal to illuminate this woman. We see a very sweet, intimate portrait, but one that's still very Baroque in style. These intimate household portraits are Vermeer's signature. This is woman with a scale, and so you see a very delicate task that she's completing, but the details are so precise. From the carving in the frame, from the details of the pearls and the jewelry she's working with, that she's weighing in her delicate scale, all of these details are so precise. And again, true to his fashion, Vermeer has a natural light source that's coming across the diagonal to illuminate the main figure. Very sweet, very beautiful, and masterfully done. Here's another one, The Milkmaid. The same diagonal with a natural light source, and the same beauty and attention to detail, from the broken window that we see right here to the nails in the wall, and we can even see their shadows, to down here on the floorboard where we can see there's painted tiles that are along the floorboard. There's beautiful detail in the bread, in the light, but what's especially beautiful about this painting is he's celebrating this domestic chore. He's celebrating not an aristocratic woman. He's not celebrating a mythical figure such as Venus. He's celebrating and portraying with great beauty and delicacy a milkmaid. And if you look closer at the detail in this painting, every single thing is done with beauty. Her hands, he portrays her hands as lovingly as many artists will paint their hands and other figures' hands. There's a gentleness to how she's holding the milk jug. There's nothing coarse or abrupt about her actions. He's portraying her very gentle. And then we see the light, which of course is a hallmark of Baroque art. We see the light capturing the pitcher and even the pieces of bread in the handle of the basket. All very beautifully done to capture a very sweet, intimate domestic scene. In this painting by Vermeer, we see another young lady illuminated on the diagonal, and she is creating lace. This is the lace maker. And then we come to the master of the Dutch painters, Rembrandt. This is Rembrandt's famous painting, a commission that he received in order to portray the Civic Guard of Amsterdam. And what he does so beautifully in this group portrait is not only capture the Baroque aesthetics of art, but he gives each character in this painting a unique style and a unique portrait of what kind of psyche or character they might have been. So we see in the face of characters such as this one that there's some intrigue or there's some gossip going on back here. And in this figure we get a completely different expression, as if he is the one taking great pride in being the flag bearer, and he's fixed on the flag and he's taking great pride in this chore. Whereas you see here the two leaders walking, this one quite deep in thought or perhaps deep in his own ego, and next to him someone quite thoughtful listening to him but with an introspective look on his face. So you see all kinds of characters, this more aristocratic character here and some that are dressed a little bit more, a little bit less luxuriously. Each character, however, is given his own personality. That's part of the beauty of Rembrandt's paintings. We can see that especially in his self-portraits. Over the course of his career, Rembrandt painted several self-portraits, and in this one in particular, I think you can see how he gave the characters in his paintings a very deep psychological portrait. There's a lot of emotion in those eyes. There is a lot of experience and perhaps sadness captured in the wrinkles under his eyes. He's captured his hair as gray. You see the different skin tones that are reflecting light and perhaps even portraying the veins in his face that are starting to show with his age. There's a lot being said in this face, and Rembrandt captures it beautifully. One of the most famous paintings by Rembrandt is this one, The Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Tulp. It's a significant portrait of what's happening socially during this time. Dr. Tulp was a very famous medical professor, and he is the character portrayed here in black who is giving the anatomy lesson. During this time, recently deceased prisoners were frequently used as cadavers for medical students, and the public would be invited to attend these dissections so that they too could learn. So this painting captures what's happening socially at the time, and it's also an example of Rembrandt's mastery of capturing people's personalities. You see that each of the medical students, they're dressed similarly, yet each one has a unique expression on his face. There's different ideas, there's different reactions going on in each character. And then another really interesting aspect about this painting is that Rembrandt is meticulous with his details. Meticulous. Yet look at the cadaver. Dr. Tulp is clearly emphasizing to the gentleman the tendons that work the hand. He's emphasizing them, he's pulling them, and he's even raising his left hand here to demonstrate how the hand moves while he is pulling the tendons. But look, it's the wrong hand. What Rembrandt portrays is a right hand with the thumb turned towards the body. And if you'll notice again, this is another right hand. Rembrandt has not painted the left hand properly. Knowing Rembrandt to be so meticulous with his details, we can't help but think that this was not accidental. There's another interesting thing happening in this painting. Notice each medical student's expression. In what direction are they focusing? Are they concentrating on the hand that Dr. Tulp is emphasizing? If you'll notice, their gaze is actually not at the cadaver. Their gazes are focused on the book. And Rembrandt has done a very clever device in his composition where he's giving us some foreshortening of the cadaver and putting the book right in the place of the viewer. But each of the medical students is really looking in the direction of the book. They're not looking down at the cadaver. They're not looking even at Dr. Tulp's face. They're focusing on the book. The fact that these medical students are focusing on the book rather than the demonstration that Dr. Tulp is giving them is a significant aspect of the painting. The Baroque era lies right on the cusp of the scientific revolution, and we'll be talking about the scientific revolution in detail in the next unit. And what Rembrandt is saying in this painting is significant. He's saying we get our knowledge not so much from the practical experiences happening right in front of us, but instead we are gaining our knowledge from books. There's a celebration of knowledge, there's a celebration of scholarship that will happen during the Enlightenment, and Rembrandt is already hinting at this as he shows us that the medical students are fixed not only on the cadaver, but especially on the book that's providing them instruction. So it's these intimate details from Rembrandt and other Northern European Baroque painters that really give us a significant and special style from the Baroque. It's going to be this pivotal era where we'll see a leaning towards a more scientific and rational approach to answering questions. The growing middle class, who are becoming more affluent and more educated, are going to play an essential role in this evolution of Western culture.